Hello, I hope everybody's back. We'll give it another minute to just allow everyone to get back onto their seats from lunch. I hope you enjoyed your quick sandwich. Thank you for the thumbs up. Before I introduce our next speaker, Aninda, I'm just going to say thank you for the thumbs up. That we have still the sessions going. So we have next after Aninda, we'll have our panel discussion, which will feature Pallavi, one of our amazing panelists that will talk about her experiences in India. So that's not to be missed. And then we'll also be celebrating amazing cultural champions that our staff and colleagues have nominated, who go over and above to make sure that cultural awareness, understanding in organ donation is promoted. So really amazing people. So we would want to stay on for that as well. We want to be there to cheer them on. So I'd like to just see thumbs up again to just make sure that we are ready to go and hear from Aninda Dutta. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Wonderful. So the next speaker is Aninda Dutta, as I say, and Aninda, I first saw him in San Diego. We were really privileged, myself and Candice Hines, to go for a conference organized by AMET. I was trying to remember what the acronym actually stands for. I know it's Association of Multicultural something in Donation, but it was amazing. And I have to say that I think this conference that we organized for me has been inspired partly by what I experienced at AMET. Having a 4-day conference that's purely dedicated to multicultural issues and topics on donation was just purely amazing. And I happened to attend Aninda's presentation on AI and approaches, and I haven't stopped talking about it since. I've been telling everyone that I come across in organ donation space about it. So it inspired me, and I believe that's why I really wanted you to come and talk to us about it. And also I reached out to you on LinkedIn because I didn't meet you at the conference, and you were really kind and you communicated and you've been giving me information and you've come to support this conference. So thank you so much. So Aninda is the Senior Vice President of Data and Organizational Strategy at Donor Networkwest. He has more than 20 years experience in the field of data and information systems and over 15 years experience in leadership roles across healthcare domain. He's also a fellow at the American College of Healthcare Executives, the gold standard of board certification in health management. So really great to have you today. So take it away from here, Aninda. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. It's early morning here in the West Coast side of the US. So if you see my window behind, it's still dark out there, but I'm really thrilled to be here today. Thank you to NHS, and thanks Winnie for inviting me here to share our story. And I'm going to share my screen. Just give me a thumbs up or something if you can see the presentation mode of the screen. Give me just a second. Can you guys see the presentation mode okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, I do have a lot to cover, so let's get started. So just quickly, I do not have any disclosures. We are going to talk about AI, so I'll always throw this slide in. I did not. These slides are my original, no ChatGPT or any other AI used for this presentation. So just real quick, Winnie shared with you a little bit of my bio, but I come from an engineering background. I'm also last year become a fellow of the American College of Healthcare Executive, about 20 years experience in computer and data science. Throughout my career, most of my years I've spent in different domains in healthcare, and then 7 years in organ procurement industry. Um, so I know Winnie wanted me to talk a little bit about how we are embracing AI, but I really wanted to take this opportunity to present to you really the entire picture, because AI really comes at the very end, how we are utilizing it. But I wanted to paint the picture, and to do that, I wanted to start off with the national picture. So here in the U.S., the the population by race kind of looks something like this. So this is part of the 2019 US Census Bureau data. And in the left, you can see that it's 60%, about 60% white, and then 40%, it's a mix of different race and ethnicity, with Hispanics being the predominant amongst the minorities. What you see on the right-hand side is it shows where we are today and where we will be if that trajectory continues. So sometimes um, in the next few years, you can see by 2045, there'll be almost half and half, where 50% would be white and 50% that will be comprised of people of color. Um, when you look at the map of US, so we have 50 states. Not every state are equally diverse. Some states are more diverse than others. So this is a good representation of the diversity scale where we stand currently. So we are in California. We serve Northern California and Northern Nevada, which are the two adjoining states on the West Coast here. And you can see it's pretty diverse compared to many other places here in the United States. Um, One of the things that I always look at, the donation rate and how it trended. So what I wanted to kind of show to you folks is, a 10-year period comparison. The good news here is as you can see, there is increase in donation rate amongst all the entire population in US. The bad news, however, is there is a big disparity between the gain that we have seen in the white population versus the gain that we have seen in the people of color population. So that disparity tells us there is lots of gaps to close and there is lots of opportunity for us. So now that you kind of seen a little bit of glimpse of the national, the construct right now, I just wanted to kind of share our story about our organization. And it really starts with kind of giving you just a little bit about our service area. So we are an organ procurement organization, one of 55 OPOs that serves the entire country. We are the third largest organ procurement organization in the United States today. We serve 175 hospitals, around 100 square miles, 5 transplant centers, and a population of around 14 million people. So it's a huge population base and a huge geography in terms of square mile that we serve. And you already saw from the map that I shared, it's a very diverse population as well. So it all really starts, our story really starts with strong leadership. And when I say strong leadership, I'm talking about leadership that not only embraces diversity, but is intentional about it. And we are really privileged to have Janice Whaley, our president and CEO, who started with Donor Network West back in December 2018. And if you look at the chart at the bottom, I've highlighted the years since she has been the president and CEO, and you can see what an incredible difference that has made. We have had a 44% increase in donation in these 6 years that she has been here compared to prior 6-year average. And that is, something that has never been done before. And there are many stories of first for Janice, but one of the things obviously like to highlight is she's the first female Black CEO in the organ procurement industry here in the United States. Um, One of the things that Janice really wanted to do when she came on board is making sure that our organization, the people that works in our organization, reflects the community that we serve. When I showed you how the population mix looks like for the entire country, but when it comes to our service area, it's actually 60% people of color and 40% white because of the huge diversity that we have here in Northern California and Northern Nevada. So that population mix translates to what we see in the donor potential. So if you look at this chart where, it's a very good snapshot of year over year going all the way back to 2013, every year you'll see that we have more people of color donor potential than white donor potential. That is how it is. We know that through our data. However, there is a performance gap, right? Because even though we have higher donor potential amongst people of color, when it comes to actual donors realized, the white has, you see the numbers are higher than that of the people of color. So that really tells us that there is room for improvement. There are opportunities for us to really get out there and change this story and really understand how we can close this gap. So that is something that is really, it came very intentional from leadership, and we wanted to make sure that in order to close this gap, it's really important for us looking in the mirror and making sure that our organization reflects the community that we serve. So through that process, through the 3-year periods since Janice became the CEO, we went through a transformation in our organization. And by the end of 2021, early 2022, what you see here is an organization that has been transformed to reflect the community that we serve. And here you can see like there's a comparison between our donor pool versus breakdown by race and ethnicity, and our DNWest staff breakdown by race and ethnicity. And you can see how aligned it is with the community that we serve. And that is really, really important. We can talk about AI, we can talk about these performance optimization, but at the end of the day, the foundational elements are the strong leadership and reflecting the community through your organization. So once that happened, things changed for us. You saw that massive increase in donation rate that I showed you that our organization achieved. But when you break that down between white and people of color, you see that in the last 6 years, we have had the highest number of people of color donors that our organization has ever done before. And remember, I showed you how in 2021, 2022 is when we had our organization reflect the community. You see, that's kind of where the switch happens, where we started to have more people of color donor than white, which is how it should be based on the population that we serve. So it's really important to see how this data ties these results tie with some of the efforts that really went behind the scene to drive these kind of results. This is just increase in authorization rates among Blacks. As you can see, pre-Janice, we were hovering around the 37% consent rate mark, but gradually it started increase, and these days we are hovering around 65%, which is tremendous, close to double than where we were. And it's not just amongst Black, it's across the board. We have seen increase in donation. So really the message here is people of color do donate given the opportunity with the right representative and the right messaging. I think that's really key to all of this. So now that we really have understood what it means, strong leadership, what it means to have an organization that reflects the community, now we can talk about how we can optimize performance. And that's kind of where the AI component comes into play. But before I talk about the AI portion, which is really the icing on the cake, so to speak, I really wanted to kind of give you a construct of where the idea came from and really what are some of the fundamentals that we are using. So, so the big question we are always asking in our industry here in US, over there at NHS in UK is how do we increase authorization? I think we call different things, but it's the same thing, the consent rate or the authorization. The real question that I wanted to answer, there are many ways to increase authorization, right? You get in front of more families or you get more organ referrals. So there are other ways to increase authorization. The portion that I was very interested in solving is how do we optimize the performance of our people, the team that we have that does the approaches? It's a very tough job, getting in front of a family that is grieving. It's one of the hardest job in my view. This is not a job that I can personally do, but what I can do is really help my team achieve this performance excellence, try to see if we can make their job a little bit easier for them so that they can succeed. So the three questions that we always ask when we have a big problem to solve is, what are we currently doing? And we're doing a lot of things right. We have strong leadership, which I already showed you. We do a lot of training with our team. So we are very intentional about making sure they're getting all the training that's needed. So we are doing a lot of good things. But then obviously there are always ways to improve, and that's kind of what I was looking for. So I also ventured into what are others in the industry are doing. And, there are many organ procurement organizations here in the US that have done a lot of great things. I know one OPO that has created a fatigue score, like, people that goes out to see families, are they burnt out? Those, are the family resource coordinators, are they fatigued from hard cases and things like that? So those are all great things to do because, you're really taking care of the people that are approaching the families. You have to take care of them. And but I was also looking at what else can we do outside of all of this. And the question I always like to ask myself is, what can we learn from other industries that have succeeded? They may not be approaching families, grieving families, but there surely could be some construct that we can take away from other industry and apply to our industry. So I love to use sports reference, and I cannot use a cricket slide here in US, so because not a lot of people follow the sport here, so I use baseball, but the idea is the same. But I thought I would enjoy using a cricket slide with this audience. So in team sports and any team sports, not just cricket, we often hear this term matchup these days. What is the best matchup? So in this case, if a batter is out there, who are your best bowlers that can bowl to that batter to get them out? And this is just an example of, they're highlighting some good options, bad options, and neutral options. So this whole concept of matchup really comes from the term match quality. So match quality is a term economists have used for decades to describe the degree of fit between two entities, such as a worker and a job, a product and a customer, or data points and a known record. In essence, there are three broad models of match quality. So you can have a match quality between people and people. A good example is dating sites use match quality quite a bit. They ask you a whole bunch of questions and they match people based on the answers, based on the match quality. I just dropped my daughter off to college a couple of months ago, and when she was filling her housing applications, she had to answer some questions, and they use the colleges use that answer to match roommates. So that's another example which is widely used. It's almost a standard these days in colleges to create match quality algorithms to assign roommates. So that's the people with people. Then there is the people with environment, right? So I mentioned about the US Labor Department using match quality for decades. This is Labor Department trying to match people with a job, which essentially is an environment, right? It's people plus the culture and everything else that goes on with an organization in a job. So that's the people and environment model. And then there is the entity and known record model. A good example of this is the event match quality. I don't know if you have heard of that, but it's very predominant in marketing and advertisement world. Like if you are to go and place an ad on Facebook, Facebook will give you an event match quality score for you to know how effective is your advertisement going to be with the set of population or the where you're placing the ad. So it's really that kind of model. So the out of these three models, the one that I was very interested in is the people with the environment, right? So the U.S. Labor Department uses this for matching people with jobs. So my thought was, that sounds very similar to what our family resource coordinators do. How can we match our people to the environment, which is the people that they're going to talk to, the families they're going to talk to, but also the hospital environment that comes into play along with it. So we thought that this is a model that we can really use to see if we can create some kind of a match quality framework. We are looking at our people, the skills and personalities they have, the background they have, educational and work background, the training they have received, and how can we match that to the environment, which is, the hospital attributes that comes into play, the next of kin and family attributes that comes into play at the time of consent, and then the time distance attributes. So what we ended up doing is using this construct to create a deployment tool. So basically, and I'll get into the AI portion because it started off as an app, the deployment app, which didn't use any AI. And then we felt the need to add overlay AI on top of it. So basically, the original purpose of this was how can we use data science to assist our family team in making organ approach assignments by utilizing the strength of our people. All of our people, even though they get the same training, and these are people that does the family approaches, even though they get the same training and everything, they all have their own strength and weaknesses, right? In a team environment, that's common no matter what team you're talking about. Uh, uh, the years of experience and what not, they all have their own strengths and weaknesses. So the idea really here was how can we really cultivate those strengths and really amplify them and make the best use of their strength to put them in front of the right family. So really, what we thought is if we found a way to assign coordinators to cases where they historically perform well, which essentially means a higher match quality, it will increase the team's overall performance. So we tried to create a construct out of this. So we have this hypothesis, then how do we put it into action? Like, what is the framework that we are going to use? So what we developed was this. So basically, on the left, you see some data points, and this comes from institutional knowledge, right? When your family person goes out and talks to a family for donation, what are some of the things that we know just from working in this industry that impacts that decision making? So we came up with these data points like, what is the age, right? So if the patient is of a certain age, that means you're talking to a family of certain age. So there is a correlation there. So the race obviously plays a factor, the mechanism of death, the gender plays a factor, the referring hospital, where our family team is going to get the consent, what region. We talked about the huge geography that we have. So the region is important for us as an organization. And then the next of kin relationship. Who are we talking to get the authorization and what their gender is? So we kind of started with these data points that we thought plays a role to getting an authorization. And then we kind of created this simple math. Okay, so we'll come up with a score, which we are calling the match quality score of an individual to a case where the family resource coordinator average auth rate is divided by the team average auth rate. So what this essentially, the math essentially means is if you get a score of 1, that means this family approach person is performing for this kind of case at the same success rate as the rest of the team. If your score is above 1, that means this person is essentially performing better than the rest of the team for this case. And if you're below 1, you're underperforming than the rest of the team. So that's essentially what it means. So a high match quality score signifies that a family resource coordinator on average receives an authorization at a greater rate for that specific type of cases. So really, the main thing here is, we are creating a match quality score per person, per case. So if you score a low on one case, that doesn't mean you're a bad family resource coordinator. It really means that for this particular type of case, your success rate has been lower than the rest of the team. You could be a very high scoring family resource coordinator for a different type of case, right? So it's really finding that score for individuals to the type of case that's in front of us. So we kind of use the scores are useful, but we find that when we try to put things in operation, ranges are even better because then our leadership won't have to worry about, oh, is this score slightly better or much better than the other score? So just to avoid those kind of confusion, we created ranges. So we said, okay, if it is green, that means your score is way above the average of the team. If it is yellow, you're hovering somewhere around that average point. And if it is red, it means historically your performance for this type of cases have not been great. So we created these 3 ranges, and then we put it into an app. So that way it's, our leadership team, they don't have to be in front of a computer because cases can come in anytime. The equity of the case can change at any time. So we put it into an app and they can kind of click on it and see, okay, what are the active approach cases we have right now where we need to assign a coordinator? And when you click on one, so here is the example of the first case, it shows you all the family resource coordinators that are on schedule that day that can take on a case and what their scores are, green, yellow, red. So again, a red here doesn't mean this is a bad family resource coordinator. It just means they are not probably the right person to approach this family for this type of case. So that's what it means. They could be green for a different case. So we kind of have this now model where we can really see, for the cases that are currently active and we need to send people out to talk to the family, we have a decision support tool that can really help us make better decisions. And obviously, this is one element of the decision making. There are other elements that comes into play, like, we have a huge geography, so the location is an important consideration often. And then there are other things like that. So again, this is one part that plays a role in the decision making on who to send out from the team to talk to this family. So before we put this in action, we did a pre-analysis, and what we found when we used 1 quarter's worth of data, we ran this model and see, okay, hypothetically, if this model was in place, what kind of results would we see? And what we found was staggering. So whatever the app produced as the first and the second match based on the scores, remember each case has a score. So if you take the highest and the second highest score for any case, and if those were the people that were sent out to approach the family, we saw they had a somewhere between 74 and 76% success rate. And if we send anyone that had a lower score, the authorization rate drops to 24%. What we also saw is when we did this pre-analysis is we were sending more people out to more cases with lower match quality score. And again, you can never achieve 100% rate of sending your best people to all the cases because you only have a limited number of people in your team, and not every person cannot go to every cases that they're the highest match for. However, there is a big disconnect here, right? We can definitely do better than sending only 11 or 12% of our best score uh, people out in the field. So, and we also saw this huge range when it comes to those ranges that we talked about. So when we analyzed the data, we saw that when we sent out people that had a green match quality score range, they got auth rate at 94%. And that rate drops quite a bit in the yellow range and really, really low in the red range. So this really confirmed that, if we are intentional and we can utilize this data to actually send the right people to the right cases, it makes a huge difference when it comes to authorization. So we put this in motion, and then we did a post-analysis 3 months after. And these are some donor numbers that you see. So this is 3 months prior on the left, number of donors for those months, and 3 months after we put the deployment tool in motion, what results it produced. Some of the examples, obviously this increased donation across the board, but what it also did is have a huge impact when it comes to people of color and diverse communities. Like this is an example with the Asian community where we saw a 72% increase in the authorization rate because now we are sending the right people to talk to the right families. Again, with age group, I think the age group was 35 to 45-year-old age group patients. We saw 100% increase in performance, gender, race, all of these attributes that we took into account to create the match quality score. We saw a performance improvement with most of those data factors. So what I talked so far, and I know I'm going a little bit over, so I'll try to wrap this up quickly. We talked about this tool, we talked about how we developed this, but we really didn't use any AI or machine learning in all of this so far. What I showed you so far, you can do all of this by simple programming and having a construct. But we really found a need to add the AI layer to it, because the reason is prior to using AI, the tool was using all of these data points that you see on the left with equal weightage. But we know that all the factors doesn't play into the authorization equally. There are some factors that plays more than others. So that's where the AI piece, the machine learning piece comes into play and really helps us. So again, I'll go really quick. We kind of consider different models for machine learning, and we opted for the random forest, which is pretty common model for ML for this kind of work. This is, again, the confusion matrix, just to tell us how many times we are getting things right versus wrong, which is useful. But this is what I wanted to show you with the machine learning. What we are now able to do, we are able to now differentiate between what we call strong signals versus weak signals. So we really have a deeper understanding of what are the factors that really impact a case, that really impact authorization more than other factors. And keep in mind that can be different for different individuals. So you can have these factors created for different individuals and see where they land. And that could be a really good opportunity for training and for hiring and things like that. So the next steps in AI journey is really identifying are there other strong signals? Are there other data points that we should be looking at to creating this match quality score? And then really just fine-tuning and calibrating this and using this for hiring and training needs as well. So the final thoughts really is, using match quality score will help optimize people performance with your current team. Will also help with training and hiring, so that people who does poorly for certain type of cases, you already know what they're struggling with, so you can reinforce their training and level up their performance. But the main thing here is it is not a substitute for strong leadership. I talked about strong leadership. I talked about reflecting the community. Those come first and foremost, and those are the foundational block. You have to do that in order to get value out of this. And again, we lost an icon last week. We are all terribly sad about losing Teresa. She has been, my personal mentor, a role model, and just wanted to throw this slide out there. Some of you may know her work. I know she was very connected with NHS and UK. We're really sad to lose her. And that's all I have.
Amazing, Aninda. Really good. It's just lots to reflect on, and I'm sure there'll be questions coming on the chat about it. Really inspired by Janice as well when we listened to her keynote speech at the conference, and I was really also privileged to be able to meet her, and we took a photo with her at some point. Strong leadership, foundation, being a foundation has really resonated with me, and also about representing. It's amazing what you've been able to do to represent the communities you serve, something that we have been on a mission to do, especially around our nurses in organ donation. And I can say it's a challenge that we're still facing, and hopefully that we can take away something from here today that will help us on that journey. You are going to be on the panel next. So if you have any questions for Aninda following his talk, amazing talk, please put them in the chat, or you can put your hand up during the next panel discussion, and I will introduce Radha to come in and chair and facilitate our discussion. So thank you so much, Aninda.
Thank you so much. I mean, that was fascinating. So it is my privilege